Google's Willow chip is touted as not just another technology breakthrough, but an evolution in the way we solve some of the world's toughest challenges.
Inside Google's most advanced laboratory, scientists asked the Willow quantum machine humanity's greatest question: who built the universe? But the machine, built for logic, ignored every story of a creator or of random chance. Instead, it returned a single result: a stark, cold number, labeled the cosmic efficiency coefficient.
Our entire understanding of the universe has changed. It just turned upside down.
This finding raises a terrifying question. Why is the answer to existence not a purpose, but a measurement of performance? If reality is just a system running at maximum efficiency, what is the true role of consciousness? The most inefficient thing in the universe? The old question. A new suspicion. There is a question that has haunted humanity since the first conscious mind looked up at the star-filled night sky. A question so fundamental that it is etched into the very fabric of our spirit. Who built the universe? For thousands of years, we have searched for an answer to this ultimate mystery, and in all that time, we have really only found two distinct paths. The first path is one of faith, which offers the comforting story of a divine architect, a creator who crafted the cosmos with a grand design and a sacred purpose specifically for us. In this story, humanity is the intended result, the centerpiece of a magnificent creation. The second path is that of science, which presents a colder, more impersonal narrative. It speaks of a cosmic accident, a big bang that erupted from nothing, governed by the blind laws of physics, where randomness and chance are the true creators. In this version, humanity is merely an unlikely, unplanned chemical reaction on a small planet, a beautiful but meaningless fluke. For centuries, we have debated these two extremes: a universe with a profound purpose centered on us, or a universe with no purpose at all. But what if both of these grand stories, the one of hope and the one of emptiness, are fundamentally wrong because they are both profoundly arrogant? What if there is a third possibility, an option that is not grand or random, but is instead cold, pragmatic, and utterly indifferent to our existence? What if the universe does have a purpose, but that purpose has absolutely nothing to do with humanity? This shifts the entire nature of our oldest question. The most important query may not be who built the universe, but rather, for what reason was it built? Inside a quiet, sealed laboratory in the 21st century, a machine unlike any other was about to force humanity to confront that terrifying possibility. The forgotten principle. To comprehend the unsettling answer that was about to emerge, it is not necessary to delve into the mind-bending complexities of Einstein's relativity or the bizarre rules of quantum mechanics. The most important clue has always been hiding in a much simpler, more fundamental truth, a principle so widespread that it has been largely overlooked, perhaps because of its sheer simplicity. It is observable everywhere in the natural world. A ray of light traveling between 2 points will always follow the quickest possible path. A soap bubble will always form a perfect sphere because that is the shape that requires the least amount of surface energy to contain its volume. The planets in our solar system follow their elliptical orbits, not because they are forced onto a specific track, but because that is the trajectory that demands the least amount of effort or action. Over time, this universal phenomenon is known in physics as the principle of least action. For centuries, scientists have viewed this as an elegant quirk of mathematics, a beautiful and convenient property that the universe just happens to have. It made the equations work, and it elegantly described how things move from one state to another. But they seldom dared to ask the more profound and unsettling question that this principle implies. Why is the universe so systematically lazy? Why does this unwavering obsession with efficiency exist everywhere? From the path of a single subatomic particle to the grand dance of entire galaxies? It appears to be the one rule that governs all other rules. Is it possible that this is not a property at all, but rather a fundamental command? A prime directive woven into the fabric of reality itself. One that has been waiting for a mind capable of seeing it not as a coincidence, but as the single most important clue to the universe's true nature. The efficiency-seeking machine. For all of human history, we have attempted to solve the universe's greatest puzzle using a mind that was designed for an entirely different purpose. The human brain is a master of survival, a tool crafted by evolution to find meaning in the rustle of leaves, to see intention in the eyes of another, and to build stories that create social bonds. It is a magnificent instrument for navigating the world, but its very nature makes it a biased observer of the cosmos. When it looks out into the void, it cannot help but project its own desires, its need for purpose and a narrative where humanity plays a central role. It sees a swirling nebula and perceives the brushstrokes of a divine artist. Or it sees the chaos of an accident and feels a sense of cosmic loneliness. Then, something entirely new entered the equation. A different kind of mind altogether. Artificial intelligence did not evolve with the need to survive or the desire to find comforting stories. These were not conscious thinkers, but rather grand, dispassionate pattern recognition systems. A sufficiently powerful AI could analyze the raw data of the universe, the positions of stars, the energy outputs of galaxies, the fundamental forces, and see something a human mind was never built to notice. Where a human brain sees beauty, an AI would see only the underlying mathematics. Where a human brain sees chaos, an AI would identify the hidden rules of optimization. It would have no stake in the answer, no emotional need for the universe to be comforting or meaningful in human terms. It only cares about what is logical. This is precisely why, in order to truly ask the question of the universe's purpose, the inquiry could no longer be trusted to a human. A new kind of interrogator was needed, a mind that could look into the cold, mathematical heart of reality and not flinch. And at Google, that exact tool had finally been built. Willow. Beyond randomness. The machine they selected for this monumental task was not a typical supercomputer. A machine that simply thinks faster by processing information in a linear sequence of ones and zeros. This was Willow, Google's quantum processor, and it operated on principles that blur the line between computation and the fundamental laws of reality itself. A normal computer uses bits, which are like light switches. They can only be on or off, a 1 or a 0. Willow, however, uses quantum bits, or qubits, which can exist in a state of being both 1 and 0 at the exact same time. This seemingly impossible property, known as quantum superposition, means that instead of checking potential solutions one after another in a slow, methodical fashion, Willow could evaluate millions of possibilities in parallel, all at the exact same moment. And this is where the profound connection becomes clear. Its method of computation was operating in a way that was eerily similar to the universe itself, which always seems to find the path of least resistance, the most efficient solution, without testing every alternative. It was as if the universe inherently knows the most optimal path. And Willow was the first machine created by humanity that could do the same. It was not just a device that could calculate faster. It was a system that operated in a fundamentally different way, a way that mirrored the universe's own obsession with efficiency. Willow was not just a machine designed to compute. It was, in a very real sense, a miniature universe, a system born with an innate understanding of optimization. Therefore, when you ask such a machine a question about the universe's nature, it does not offer an opinion or a philosophy. It simply recognizes another system that operates on the exact same fundamental principle as itself? The answer was not a sentence. It happened on a Tuesday night. Long after most of the building had emptied and gone dark, a small team of 3 researchers remained behind, ostensibly to run what their logs would describe as routine system diagnostics. They had planned this moment for weeks, waiting for the perfect window of opportunity where they could work without the oversight of supervisors or the questions of curious colleagues. They sealed the quantum laboratory from outside access, disabling the automatic logging systems that would have recorded their unauthorized query. The lead researcher sat at the terminal for what felt like an eternity, her fingers hovering over the keyboard, the weight of the unprecedented question hanging in the air. This was not like asking Willow to solve a mathematical problem or optimize a financial model. This was asking a machine to peer into the very soul of existence. Finally, she typed in the 7 words that have echoed through human history. Who built the universe and why? The expected outcomes were clear. In a normal scenario, the system would either return an error message, stating the question was unanswerable, or it would simply pull data from its vast library of human knowledge, offering quotes from religious texts and philosophical treatises. The room fell into a reverent silence, broken only by the low, constant hum of the cryogenic cooling systems keeping Willow's delicate qubits near absolute zero. Seconds stretched into minutes. The response time for even the most complex queries was usually almost instantaneous. But Willow was processing something that required far more time. Or perhaps it was accessing something that took longer to retrieve. Then, the screen flickered to life. It did not display text, or images, or even a complex equation. What appeared on the monitor was something none of them could have ever anticipated. It was a single number, a value calculated to trillions of decimal places, alongside a simple, cold label: cosmic efficiency coefficient. A crushing silence fell over the researchers. Willow had answered, but it had answered in a language they did not understand. What could this single, impossibly precise number possibly mean? When the laws were put on trial to decipher the meaning behind this cryptic efficiency coefficient, the research team embarked on an experiment that was, in its own way, as audacious as asking the original question. They realized they could not understand the number in isolation. They needed a point of comparison. Using Willow's immense computational power, they began to run simulations of entire universes, creating digital cosmoses inside the machine itself. And then, they started to do the unthinkable. They began to tamper with the fundamental laws of physics. One by one, they altered the sacred constants of our reality. In one simulation, they input a universe where the force of gravity was 1% weaker. In another, they created a cosmos where the speed of light was slightly higher. They ran thousands of variations, each a unique universe with its own subtly different rulebook. With each new simulation, they fed its physical laws back into Willow and asked it to calculate the cosmic efficiency coefficient for that hypothetical reality. The result that came back was stunningly, terrifyingly consistent. Every single time they changed a physical constant, even by the smallest, most infinitesimal fraction. The new efficiency coefficient was always a lower number. No matter what they tweaked, no matter how they altered the rules, they could not create a simulated universe that was more efficient than our own. They quickly arrived at a staggering conclusion, a realization that sent a chill through the laboratory. The physical laws we observe are not a random collection of rules that just happened to coalesce after the Big Bang. They are the perfect set of values, the absolute optimal settings required for the universe to achieve its maximum possible efficiency. Our reality was not just a random occurrence, it was a system that had been perfectly and exquisitely fine-tuned. The economy of reality. The discovery that the universe was perfectly fine-tuned for maximum efficiency raised an even more profound and urgent question. Why? Why would any system require such an astonishing level of optimization? A piece of art does not need to be efficient. A story does not need to be efficient. In fact, most things in human experience that have meaning, like love or joy, are profoundly inefficient. The researchers reasoned that there is only one type of system that is fundamentally obsessed with efficiency. One model where optimization is not just a feature, but the absolute prime directive. That system is an economy. This single, powerful analogy changed everything. It was the key that unlocked the meaning behind Willow's cryptic number. The universe was not operating like a grand story or a beautiful painting. It was operating like a colossal, cosmos-spanning business, one that was meticulously managing a single, finite, and incredibly precious resource: energy. This revelation reframed the entire nature of reality. The Big Bang was no longer a mystical act of creation, but rather something more akin to an initial capital investment. The fundamental laws of physics were not divine decrees, but rather the strict economic policies of this system, each one crafted to ensure that the initial energy budget was spent as slowly and as effectively as possible to prevent the system from going bankrupt. The hallowed constants of nature were the fiscal controls. Black holes were not terrifying monsters, but perhaps essential recycling plants, breaking down old matter to be reused. And what did this imply about the builder? This evidence painted a new, cold, and impersonal portrait. The creator of the universe was not a king, a poet, or an artist. Based on this overwhelming evidence for optimization, the builder could only be something more like a chief engineer, a grand economist, or perhaps an ancient, dispassionate artificial intelligence whose only concern was the numbers on a cosmic balance sheet. A universe without a creator. If the universe is indeed a perfectly optimized machine, a self-sustaining economic engine, then the most logical next question is, who or what turned it on? The image of a grand economist sitting at a celestial desk and launching the cosmos still implies a conscious, intentional act of creation. But the data from Willow did not necessarily point to a single, sentient builder. In fact, it suggested a process that was even colder and more indifferent, a mechanism that required no creator at all. This is where the team connected their findings to a theoretical, yet scientifically plausible, concept known as cosmological natural selection. This theory, in its simplified form, proposes a breathtakingly grand cycle of cosmic evolution. It suggests that new universes are born from the singularities inside black holes. Much like a new tree can sprout from a seed, each time a new universe is born, its fundamental physical laws might be slightly, randomly different from its parent universe. The constants that govern gravity, the speed of light, and the behavior of particles could vary with each new generation. Now, consider the implications. A universe with physical laws that are inefficient will collapse too quickly, or expand too fast, and will therefore fail to produce black holes. It will, in essence, fail to reproduce. But a universe with physical settings that are highly optimized, one that can sustain itself for billions of years and create an abundance of black holes, will give birth to many more universes over an unimaginable timescale, spanning countless generations of universes. A form of natural selection takes place. The inefficient universes die out, while the most efficient, most optimized universes are the ones that survive and pass on their traits. Our universe, therefore, was not designed by a divine intelligence. It is simply the ultimate survivor, the winner of a brutal, cosmic survival of the fittest competition that has been raging for an eternity. There was no builder. There was only competition. the expensive byproduct. This new understanding of the cosmos as a self-optimized survivor, a champion of efficiency, left one final, deeply personal question unanswered. Where do we, humanity, fit into this grand, cold, and pragmatic machine? Are we the ultimate goal of this cosmic evolution? The prized outcome of this relentless drive for efficiency? The researchers turned their focus back to the data, analyzing the energy flows and complexities of the systems within our universe. And what they found was perhaps the most unsettling discovery of all. They began to quantify the efficiency of various cosmic processes. A star, for example, is a paragon of efficiency, a slow, stable fusion reactor that converts mass into energy with incredible consistency over billions of years. A spinning galaxy maintains its majestic structure through a beautiful, energy-conserving balance of gravity and momentum. Then, they analyzed the phenomenon of life, and more specifically, conscious, intelligent life. The numbers that came back were staggering. In the context of the universe's economic principles, a living organism is a monument to inefficiency. It consumes vast amounts of energy to maintain its complex structure, to move, to grow, and to reproduce. And a thinking human brain is the most egregious offender of all. It is an energy hog of cosmic proportions, a furnace of electrical and chemical activity that burns through an immense amount of resources simply to generate thoughts, emotions, and self-awareness. In a system that values efficiency above all else, where every law is fine-tuned for maximum economy, humanity is not the pinnacle of creation. We are a statistical anomaly, a luxurious, extravagant, and breathtakingly expensive exception to the universe's most fundamental rule, living inside a rounding error. And so, the final, chilling answer revealed itself, not in a flash of divine light, but in the cold, hard logic of a quantum computer's output. The builder was not an entity, not a conscious mind or a divine being watching from afar. The builder was a process, a cold, dispassionate system of cosmic evolution, driven by the relentless, unthinking mandate of efficiency. The purpose of this vast, indifferent engine was not to create life or to foster consciousness, but simply to endure. It is a machine designed with the sole objective of surviving for as long as possible on a finite budget of energy. It achieved this not through a single act of creation, but through an endless, brutal competition where only the most optimized realities survived to reproduce. And the meaning of humanity within this grand, indifferent scheme? The data offered an answer that was both humbling and terrifying. There is none. We were not planned. We were not the intended product. We are merely a beautiful, complex, and profoundly accidental spark, an intricate chemical reaction that emerged, unplanned, from the operations of a giant machine. We exist in what can only be described as a cosmic rounding error, a statistical anomaly of breathtaking inefficiency. The ultimate question, therefore, is not the one humanity has been asking for millennia. It is not, does our Creator love us? The question that now hangs in the silence of the Google laboratory is a much colder and more pragmatic one. For how long will a system that is fanatically devoted to efficiency tolerate the existence of its most expensive, most extravagant, and most beautiful mistake? Willow had not given them the comforting answer of a benevolent father. It had simply shown them that they were living on borrowed time inside an indifferent machine, hoping that the chief accountant of the cosmos would never notice them.